Rolling.
Oh, hi. I was just sitting up here thinking about your fiction essay. Yes. As you know, there have been some technical difficulties in regards to our online system. Therefore, I'm willing to work with you if you have any issues as far as, getting on Blackboard to do your assignments on time. The main thing I say, which is what I put in the email earlier, is that you contact me in a timely fashion to let me know what's going on, and I'll work with you. As you know, FMU is in the pilot phase of doing online classes. So there's some things, as you can see, that we have to work out. It's a process. It's a process. And therefore, I have to be more flexible with you on the back end to make sure that you get everything you need out of it as well. My only issue is, tell a friend that I am not the one for people waiting at the end of a session or end of a semester to give me a whole boatload full of work thinking that's going to work. That is the worst. That is the worst thing to do. Well, that's the worst thing for you because I'm not going to bother with it. Okay? Don't do that. Don't be that person. Spread the word. Do not be that person for real. Okay? Now, we have just gone through the peer review phase. The peer reviews are very important because, one, it helps you with your editing skills, looking at other people's. Also, if you may or may not have noticed, when you're writing your first draft, hopefully you're writing with your heart. And then you revise with your head. And what that means is you have the ideas. They're white hot. They're coming to you. You're writing them down. Your hands are trying to keep up with all the different ideas and thoughts in your head. And by the time you're done, boom. Wonderful ideas, but they're a bit of a mess. What usually happens is when you pick that paper up and you're trying to read them, your eyes can actually skip over missing words and everything because your brain knows what it was trying to say. You give it a break. You think your paper's banging. But then someone else that has no idea where you come from picks the paper up and breaks it down from everything they see, and they pick up all the different words and everything that was missing. And therefore, you're able to really make your paper the paper that it should be. Now, after you've done your peer reviews, like I know you have, it is time for you to bring or give your second draft to me. I'm going to set that up in Turnitin.com right after I get finished with this video. You're going to send it or submit it to me, and I'm going to look over it, and I'm going to give you some suggestions on how to make it even better. Okay? Then I'm going to give it back to you. Then you can revise it one final time, and then when you give it to me that last time after that, that's the one I'll grade you on. So you can see how many different times you'll be able to really make this paper the way it's supposed to be. However, don't think that you can skip over any of those steps. Yes, that peer review needs to be in place. Okay? Somehow, some way, I need to know that you went through that process. Don't try to skip the process. Please respect the process. Okay? So yeah, that's what's going on with that. As you start to wrap up the final touches to your fiction essay, we're going to get into poetry. Poetry. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking about, I don't know, Shakespeare, some white man in pantyhose, and you're like, oh gosh, I'm not really into poetry, blah, 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 blah. Look here. If you listen to music, if you listen to hip hop, rap, or anything like that on the radio, the rhymes they're talking, they're speaking, they're performing are poetry. It's amazing how many students like to tell me things that they're not into, but they're so into it, it's ridiculous. The other one I hear all the time is, oh, well, I don't really like to read. Keep in mind that this latest generation is always texting, tweeting, the whole nine. How do you pick up on what somebody's communicating to? You're reading. You do read a lot, okay? I don't like to write. You text them back, don't you? There you go. So, with poetry, yes, you are into poetry. You might not know all of the technical aspects and what have you, but you are into poetry. Even free verse, it's all poetry, you know. There's a particular saying that says, when a man is in love, or when we are in love, everyone is a poet. What does that mean? That means that, well, look at it like this. When one is in love, it didn't say they are novelists. When one is in love, it didn't say they are a dramatist, but a poet. The reason why that is because poetry, as you know, you can write a poem and not have to use a single period, a comma. Some people don't even capitalize words that you would expect to be capitalized. And it's all good because poetry is such an open and fluid form of expression. Okay? People who have issues with being criticized or critiqued or whatever the case is, they are free to be themselves in poetry because poetry is so expansive. Okay? There's some poetry that doesn't even rhyme at all. So when you have this feeling, you're in love, and whatever the case is, yes, everyone is willing to try poetry. It's amazing. I've been to open mics. We're trying to get the crowd going. Nobody wants to say anything. And somebody, hey, let's do some poetry about love. All of a sudden, everybody cracks a journal open. They got something to say about somebody that did them wrong or whatever the case is. Okay? So poetry is near and dear to your heart. Don't front. Okay? Now, we are going to look at some different pieces of poetry as we did with fiction to really get an understanding of the range of poetry. All right? We're gonna explore some Gwendolyn Brooks. We're gonna explore some Lucille Clifton. I got some stuff for you. I have some stuff for you. Now, just like with fiction, you're going to become better acquainted with the poetic terms and devices that poets use to get their message across. Because in all great literature, be it poetry, fiction, play, there are no wasted words. The artist, the writer uses there are no accidents. Okay, every word is chosen for its effect. And that's even more so with poetry because look at it like this. A novel has 300 pages to say what it wants to say. A short fiction piece, let's say 8 pages. Poetry usually has 1 page, right? So that means it's even more of a premium on the choice, the word choice that the author or the poet uses. Okay, so we're going to be looking into poetic devices such as your rhyme scheme, your alliteration, and of course metaphor. Everybody loves metaphor. I'm going to add a few more materials to what we have for this week so you can look over it and become better acquainted with it. Because remember, when you do your paper on poetry, as you're going to do, you're going to be discussing it via the poetic devices that that particular poet uses. We're not going to do that dry middle school summary. Then they said, and then the poet said, and then we're going to go deeper with that, okay? And you're going to, as with the fiction piece, trust your own perspective on what you're getting out of it. Every great work of art can be perceived at least 2 different ways. Remember that. Every great work of art can be considered 2 different ways. So it's not necessarily that you're trying to get the right way per se. My thing is, whatever your perspective is, you are articulating it convincingly enough to me in order for me to go along with what you're saying. Shoot, I might learn a different way of looking at a poem from what you come up with. I hope that's the case. It keeps teaching from being boring for me. I learn from you like you learn from me, you know? So, keep that in mind. Get excited. Get pumped. Week number 2 is getting better. It's getting stronger. It's going down. Get ready to handle your business. Let's do this.